Hey everybody, welcome back to Mowers and Blowers. This is episode 14 of my 1996 Ford Ranger XLT flare side project. So as you remember from the other episodes, I had a couple of dash warning lights. So the first one was the check engine light, right? And that's still on. And I had a battery warning lamp on too. So I basically went into the engine compartment, and as you remember also, I changed the brushes on the alternator. Well, I just went over there and wiggled the connections a little bit better, and the light went off, you know. Also, miraculously, my windshield wipers work. Odd. Intermittently, my my speedometer and odometer work sometimes, but not really. Anyway, so today I'm going to tackle the that check engine light. So I've connected my OBD2 scanner here, and we're going to press this. So it's scanning and reading, and I'm expecting one, right, which is the check engine light. So I'll scroll. Oops, that's not it. Okay. $14.43. Now that's really crazy. You know why that's crazy? Because just the other day when I hooked this up, it was a P0401, which is the EGR valve and the Dpfe. Delta feedback exhaust something or other. Anyway, so they said that was the problem, but apparently this is saying it's 1443. You know what? I'm going to rescan. $14.43. So you know what the 1443 is? 1443. Let me shut this off. $14.43 is the Purge valve, is what I looked up on the internet, and that was cleared just a few days ago. It didn't say 1443. I mean, I've had 1443 before, but it was always 401. So 401, from what I learned, is an EGR valve problem. So I took that off and kind of cleaned it a little. I sprayed some carburetor cleaner onto a rag and wiped the inside. I couldn't take the whole thing off because that silly nut on the very bottom there wouldn't come off. And then another silly nut on the very bottom over there wouldn't come off either. So I just I left it. But what I did was I did more research on the 401, and they said it was the Dpfe. And well, I have to change that, and I bought a new Dpfe on the internet, eBay, and this is the new one. However, this doesn't really look like that, does it? It kind of does, but not really. Anyway, I think I paid 17 bucks for it, something like that. But I'm going to change that anyway, and we'll see what codes we get after we're done. So I've got my mini ratchet there. It's a 5/16 long socket, and I'm not a lefty, so it's very difficult for me to see. I'll spare you from. Alright, that's one out. Let's not lose this. goes to my magnetic ashtray there. And then the other one is at the very bottom over here. Loosen this clamp, electronic plug. I gotta use two hands. So got the electric plug out there, and this was like that. So I just pulled it, I just yanked it out, and I have to be careful not to move that hose around because I got to make sure I know what's going on here. So that top hose, furthest away from me, is going to go, what does that say, high, and then the closer one is going to go to ref, whatever. Anyway, so I put these two together like that. I mean, it kind of looks the same, but I mean, the plug, thank goodness, looks the same. However, alright, I guess that there's a ref and a high there. So I'm gonna put that on and see what happens. Got the hoses back on there. I'm tightening the second screw onto this. As you can see, the plug is still sitting there. Probably 10 pounds of torque. That's about it. Alright, so I just put it back, and I'm gonna, I guess, try it and see if the thing goes out. Well, I mean, it starts, right? And the check engine light is still there. Is it supposed to go out right away? I don't even know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it doesn't work. Check engine light's still on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scan again, and of course it's gonna come up because check engine light's still on. So what's the fault? 1443. So it's actually, you know, what I fixed is usually it's supposed to be for 401. So now I guess I gotta address 1443. But man, you know, it's enough to be crazy if you're not an emissions expert, you know. So so 1443 is the surge valve, not what I just changed. What I just changed is not a fault, apparently, but it was a fault just the other day. It was, you know, P0401, and then I didn't do anything to it and it went away. And of course I spent the money already to get the Dpfe, which I just installed, but now I guess I gotta worry about 1443, which is that purge valve. Anyway, we'll see. I'll see you guys next time. Okay, so I'm back again. That's that purge valve right there. It's got an electric connection to it, and then two vacuum hoses on either side. So when I removed this one, it was like it wasn't even on. I just pulled it right out like that, no problem. This one was snug, but that one was like almost loose. So what I know about vacuum hoses is that it's got to be pretty snug, because air is being sucked in at a certain PSI, and any kind of leakage is going to cause problems, you know. So and it was like rubbery and thicker on that side. So I cut an inch off, and it's a little snugger. Not is snugger a word, but anyway, it's more snug now. And then I put a zip tie on it just to make sure it's nice and tight. So this side, it had an arrow on that purge valve, and it was saying point towards that way. Wait. That's not there. Where does it say? Anyway, it said that way towards engine. So this part goes into this, which I didn't know what it was, but apparently it's a charcoal canister, and it's supposed to have caps on that. Well, it doesn't have any caps on it, and I'm sure all kinds of crap gets in there. I bet you that might be some part of the problem. I got to find out what charcoal canister does and whether or not the caps on it or not makes any difference, you know. But anyway, also when I got my first tank of gas after I bought this thing, it didn't have a gas cap in it. I just put this on. This is a older gas cap from one of my wife's cars that I changed. So now it has a gas cap on it. I don't know how good of a seal it is, but no dust covers on the charcoal canister, and I just sort of fixed this. So I'm gonna start up the engine and see what happens. I mean, I already cleared that code, so it's gonna take a while to you know, for the code to come back out. Yeah, so it's gonna take a while for the code to come back out. I gotta drive a while for it to come back out, you know. So I mean, you're not gonna see a code. But does the engine sound better? It's idling kind of higher. Let's see. Let's rev it. So if we rev it, still revving kind of high. Oh well, like I said, I don't know, but that's what I've done to it to try to correct my emissions problem, you know. So for now, see you next time on Mowers and Blowers.